Welcome to ET English, the unique English language learning feature of Education Times. This recording is brought to you by Panthea Gunathilaka, the founder of Cleon, Academy for Speech, Drama and Leadership. The Education Times comes to you every week with the Sunday Times, a leading publication of Vijaya Newspapers Limited. ET English introduces a unique way of learning English. Through stories, it has a short novel and also a picture story, both of which are being published in episodes every week. All the lessons and activities that are given in the feature are from these two stories. Many English scholars accept that when you learn a language through stories, you remember them better. Further, the picture story will complement this by adding the visual component as well, where it will help the readers create vivid images in their minds, helping them remember those dialogues and the words through these incidents. Now we're going to bring the audio version of this feature, where you can listen to the stories and the lessons. First the picture story, secondly the novel, and finally the lessons. The short stories are taken from the book The Mirror of Paradise by Asghar Hussain, and beginning with the new picture story I, Jenners, writer Ranjit Gunaratne. To get the best out of this feature, we suggest that you get a copy of the Education Times and also a dictionary. Also, it will help if you read the feature once or twice on your own. At the same time, try to get the correct pronunciation by listening to audio attentively and repeatedly and trying to read it after every dialogue, emulating the voices that you hear. We shall start now. Let's look at the picture story, I, Jenners. Episode 7. Writer Ranjit Gunaratne. Illustrations by Anton B. Pereira.
Hello ladies, remember me?
Of course we do. Don't we, Nimali? But what are you doing in that idiot's car?
That's a long story. However, he's not such an idiot after all. By the way, I'm Sahas Jayasena.
I'm Dilki and this is Nimali.
This must be your brother.
Yes, he is Rashan. Don't worry, Nita. They aren't small kids.
I know, but Sahas is not used to the life in the city.
Leave that to Hans. He will look after Sahas.
I'm so glad they became good friends, in spite of that incident.
Hans is always like that. Flares up easily, but never keeps any grudges.
Sahas is the complete opposite.
So, what happened?
Nothing. Just exchange names. Why didn't you come?
That boy who was with them?
Yes, Reshan. What about him?
let's start with lesson 17 today. We start the short story, A Good Medical Boy, episode 17, based on a story by Asghar Hussain, taken from The Mirror of Paradise. Then she began to describe the many pleasures that awaited the nature lover here. She rattled on for several minutes, and we couldn't help feeling bored. Rajpal kept shaking his legs, which meant that he was getting restless, and it stopped only after I discreetly pressed him in the ribs with my elbow. He looked at me in an odd way and shifted his attention to the fish tank. Then, after pausing for a moment, the lady said, "It's a pity my husband can't enjoy long walks here these days. He's got a very bad case of athlete's foot." Rajpal must have thought that athlete's foot was a condition brought about by people exerting themselves too much and ending up with their feet sprained and swollen. He turned to Mr. Dissanayake and asked, "So you still do athletics at your age, uncle?" The man was taken aback. He stared at Rajpal with a confused look and said, "Athletics? No, I don't. But what makes you ask that?" Now looking a little nervous, Rajpal replied, "Well, Mrs. Dissanayake said you have athlete's foot, so I thought—" No, the man exclaimed, shaking his head. "Athlete's foot has nothing to do with athletics. It's a kind of fungus infection between the toes. I thought you would know that."
Moving on to the activities. Activity 1. Underline the appropriate contextual reference. The first one, she began to describe the many pleasures, means she started to talk about pleasant things. The second one, she rattled on for several minutes, means she talked slowly, at length. The third one, he looked at me in an odd way. Odd way means peculiar way. The fourth one, he's got a very bad case of athlete's foot. Athlete's foot means a kind of fungus infection. The fifth one, he stared at Rajpal with a confused look. A confused look means a baffled look. Activity 2. Join the sentences below using the coordination conjunctions given within brackets. Grammar focus. Compound sentences. A compound sentence is made up of two complete sentences connected to one another with a coordinating conjunction. Some of the coordinating conjunctions are and, but, so. Look at some examples from the text. Complete sentences. The first one, he looked at me in an odd way. The second one, he shifted his attention to the fish tank. Compound sentence. He looked at me in an odd way and shifted his attention to the fish tank. The first one, the man was taken aback. He stared at Rajpal with a confused look. And the second one, it's a kind of fungus infection between the toes. I thought you would know that. And the third one, Tom waited for the train. The train was late. But the fourth one, Sujit and Duminder had left before I arrived. I did not see them in the office. So, The fifth one, Sena, is a very hard-working officer. He got a special promotion. So, Activity 3. Answer the questions. First one, what did she begin to describe? Second one, why couldn't Rajpal and his friend help feeling bored? Third one, what did Rajpal's friend do when he kept shaking his legs? Fourth one, what is athlete's foot? Activity 4. Find from the text a word opposite to the meaning of the words given below. First one, obviously. Second one, relaxed. Third one, interested. Fourth one, confident. Activity 5. Read the picture story, study the language functions given with their contextual reference, and learn how to apply them in day-to-day situations. Language function. Introducing people. Contextual reference. I am Sahas. Sahas Jayasena. I am Dilki, and this is Nimali. Self-application. I am Nimal. Nihal Pinto. I am Sita, and this is my friend Amali. Clarification. This must be your brother. That must be your sister. Confirmation. Yes, he is Reshan. Yes, this is my father. Asking for information. Why didn't you come? So, what happened? What about him? Why didn't you bring the report? So, tell me the story. What about your sister? Giving information? That's a long story. That is a real tragedy.
Let's move on to the word bank. Remember, only the meanings relevant to the context in the stories are given below. We have 9 words today. The first one, grudge. It's a persistent feeling of ill will or resentment resulting from a past insult or injury. The second one, opposite. A person or thing that is as different as possible from something or somebody else. The third one, exchange, means an act of giving one thing and receiving another in return. The fourth one, describe, means to say what somebody or something is like. The fifth word is rattle, which means to talk quickly and for a long time. The sixth one, discreet, careful in what you say or do. We move on to the seventh word, exert, which means to make a big physical or mental effort. Sprained is the eighth word, which means wrench or twist the ligaments of an ankle, wrist, or other joint violently so as to cause pain and swelling but not dislocation. The ninth word, swell, especially of a part of the body, become larger or rounder in shape, typically as a result of an accumulation of fluid. That's the end of the activity time for lesson 17. Dear listeners, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our recordings. You're welcome to give us your feedback and suggestions on the phone numbers and the email address given in the ET English feature in the Education Time section. We meet again next week. The recording was brought to you by Panthea Gunathilaka, the founder of Cleon Academy for Speech, Drama and Leadership. Until then, goodbye and happy learning.